Great morning, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Thank God for Monday. I'm Brother Greg Cellini of the Franciscan Brothers of Brooklyn in the Office of Mission Ministry Interfaith Dialogue at St. Francis College in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. My great pleasure to be back again with you today. The purpose of our show, Thank God for Monday, is to inspire you, our audience, to take personal responsibility for your professional satisfaction. We want to provide you hope, healing, and peace in these unprecedented, turbulent, uncertain times. Motivate you to search deep inside yourself in the quest for fulfillment. Listeners, it's really up to you as to how you utilize the information we provide today. Take full accountability for the decisions you make and resulting outcomes. And one of the goals of our show, Thank God for Monday, is to introduce role models of people who take very bold steps in their work lives. This is a very special time, as National Teacher Appreciation Week is this week, May 6th through 10th, and National Teacher Day is this Tuesday, May 7th. As such, we have with us today a very, very special guest. Her name is Dr. Kathleen Corley. Dr. Corley is an award-winning educator and an authority on school culture. She has been the founding principal at multiple elementary schools. She's earned degrees from very, very prestigious institutions of higher education, including the University of Illinois and the Chicago Musical College, Roosevelt University. She is also an author. She's written a timely and wonderful book entitled The Magical Place We Call School, Creating a Safe Space for Learning and Happiness in a Challenging World. Great morning and welcome to Thank God for Monday, Dr. Corley.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here.
The honor is all ours. Kindly share with the listeners and me from what city and state you're speaking from this morning, please.
I'm in Bluffton, South Carolina. That used to be a little sleepy town, and it made most of its money for the government in town by catching speeders on their way to Hilton Head Island. But we're not a sleepy town anymore. We're much bigger than that. It's a very beautiful place to live with a wonderful history.
Well, you've just made this host and a lot of listeners very, very jealous. I understand that Arizona is beautiful in the world, and being a golfer or trying to be a golfer anyhow, a great place to be. That's for sure. Sadly, Dr. Corley, we've only got 30 minutes. We could spend hours talking about your amazing life, this wonderful book you've written. We're going to jump right into the deep end of the pool. Your book, again, is entitled The Magical Place We Call School. Can teachers and administrators really make the magic happen? And if so, share with us how, please.
Absolutely, positively. And part of it is slightly self-centered. There's a great sense of satisfaction when you're driving home and you basically say to yourself, we did really good things today, or we made magic today. The best teachers have something sitting next to their bed on the nightstand. It's either their phone, so they can record an idea that comes to them in the middle of the night, or a piece of paper or something that they can write down what they were thinking during the night. And their motivating force in that is the kids are going to love this, or I'm finally going to be able to teach this concept. I know this is going to do it. Because when you stare out at blank faces, you have to figure out another way to do what you're doing. And that's what our teachers do pretty much constantly.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing, certainly. Now, I could sense how positive and optimistic you are, but it's interesting because there are some challenges in schools today. Disagreements over what students should or should not be taught, the lingering effects of COVID. Share with us, how do you, Dr. Corley, stay so optimistic?
If you were around 651 most of the time smiling faces, plus another 100 or so staff members who are just as enthusiastic as I am. You couldn't help but be carried off in a wave. Example, last night we had our Maker Faire. We've done it, I think, 4 years in a row. And the Maker Faire is just what you think it would be. People sharing what they make, people sharing some skill that they just learned. And this time it was probably double the size that we had had before, because we really encourage students to share what they know. They are now pretty facile at watching a YouTube video and learning how to do a thing. An example of that, Henry, you're making origami cranes. Where did you learn to do that? The cranes are really hard. I mean, the other things I kind of get, but the cranes, wow. And to make the wings go, how do you do that? Henry's a 5th grader. Henry
My
is a
goodness.
deadpan sort of guy who said, I watched a video. Like, what are you, crazy, Dr. Corley? And the next thing I knew, I had a paper crane sitting on my desk. And then he made one of those intertwined bracelets for me. And he was making them for other people. So last night, he was showing other students how to make paper cranes. And there were adults at his table as well. There was bracelet making. There was a girl who said to the person who runs this, Mrs. Wursler, so I just learned how to crochet. It's awesome. I love to crochet. And I'm sure there are other people out there who just really need to be shown how to crochet, and they will do that too. So here's what I need. And she listed exactly the width of the yarn that she needed so that she could crochet appropriately, and how many needles she needed and where she wanted to be located in the building, because it was adjacent to some other crafty things that she thought would play off of each other. She was very certain about what she needed. That's fantastic, because it's real world. And if we do things that students do not say, am I ever gonna need this? Yes, we kind of outlaw saying that. We show them, yes, by gosh, you definitely need this. When you can do that, it's incredibly gratifying, and it spurs children's imaginations, because Henry is going to go on to the next thing that he's going to learn how to do, and he is going to quietly make sure we know about it. And he'll go, oh, that? Well, sure, I could share that, I suppose. And then he will.
Oh my goodness. Now, do I understand the person who's crocheting? This is an elementary school student?
Yep, a 4th grader.
What?
Yep.
This is absolutely amazing. And the internet, as you say, YouTube, somebody, especially at that age, watch a video and then learn how to do it and then go ahead and do it. Boy, that really is amazing. Yeah. Now it's interesting because if I've heard it said, and maybe you've said this as well, even, that today's children are having a bit of a challenge in their behavior and achievement. Do you agree with this? And if so, what's the root cause? Dr. Corley, help us out here, please.
I hate to blame everything on COVID, so I'll blame just part of it on COVID.
Okay.
We took quite a blow during COVID times. I don't think you could name an aspect of daily life that didn't play out this way. If it was going well, it got a little teetery. It got a little suspect. If it was a little suspect, it maybe fell apart. And the same thing with people's lives. There were folks we couldn't find. It took us a while to find them. So once the students went out, in our case, it was the governor made the declaration on March 13th, and that was a Friday the 13th.
Yes. Oh.
So that we weren't coming back on Monday, and we didn't know how long that would be, and it was certainly for the rest of the year. We had to adapt everything that we were doing. So there were a lot of things that we needed to do, that we needed to go over and above what we would normally do, but in different ways. And it all had to fit in a little screen like we're using right now. And parents would need to be able to assist their children in using the equipment and not be taken advantage of by their children when they didn't want to be a part of things and sabotaging their computers. So we did a lot of porch visits, and kept our distance, but shared what we knew to get people back online. In some cases, people didn't have Wi-Fi, and we got them hotspots because Hargray, our local provider, we have a contact with them. And in some cases, we could help pay for them to get them, and in other cases, they just gave them. But
Oh, how beautiful.
the people we couldn't find, we worried about. There was a family of
Sure.
3, and we kept going to their apartment and no one was there. And then we put a note on the door and nothing happened with that. Put another note on the door that was a little bit more provocative.
Sure.
And I only say it that way because the youngest was at risk of being retained. And
Oh, wow.
so the note in the envelope said, we really need to talk with you because if he can't get online, it's going to be almost an assurity. Well, Mom got in touch with us, but here's what had happened. They both work in basically our tourist trade here. They both work
Oh,
at the same
wow.
golf course, and one in maintenance, the other one in hospitality, and they did not have jobs anymore. They lost the
Oh,
apartment, they lost a car, they had
oh,
one car left, and that's where they were living. So
oh,
when we
no.
finally got up with them, we were able to help them out and get them a place to live.
Oh, great.
But had we not written that note, I don't know what would have happened because they weren't communicating with us
Oh,
because we were the last thing on their minds. They were just trying to
sure.
survive.
Oh,
So, and they weren't the only ones. I remember when the team that met with them via Zoom did it, they did it on their phone in the car with the
oh,
kids
wow.
in the back seat, with their faces looking, hey, that's my teacher, that's my teacher. Oh, and that's my teacher.
Oh, wow.
So the team came away from that experience with mixed emotions about this can't be the way people live. And they were just above the poverty level going into COVID and then fell right into that hole when
Oh,
COVID happened. So the schools that weren't doing so well before COVID really didn't do well during COVID, especially
sure.
if they were in some sort of technological desert, because we were relying on technology in a big way.
Of
We are
course.
one-to-one computers from 2nd grade to 5th grade, and one-to-one iPads, kindergarten and first, but our iPads only work in the building. There's no
Oh,
way to
wow.
configure them, the ones that we have, the way they're configured now, to configure them to be at home. So a local real estate agent found out that we were asking for people's old phones and old iPads and old
Yes.
Kindles so that we could get the kindergartners, especially online.
Oh,
And she said, you don't need to be collecting all these old things because we're cleaning them up and seeing if they work and getting them set up so that we can get the kids on. And she said, what thing will do it best for you? And I said, well, we're going to want something that's affordable, because I think you're telling me that you're going to find a number of these. Because we had already started asking for Kindles because you could get
oh,
them for about
wow.
$40.
Sure.
So there was an exterminator who gave us 50 of them, and there was
Oh, my
somebody else who gave us a
goodness.
bunch, and somebody else who gave us a bunch. Well, pretty soon we could outfit all of our kindergartners. So I was
Oh,
calling my buddy principals saying, hey, do you need Kindles? Because I think this lady is on a roll. Because once
oh,
she got
wow.
going, there were hundreds of them.
Isn't that beautiful? Oh, the terrific, certainly, no doubt about it. Now, I hate to ask this next question, but I must because if I understand correctly, there's still a little bit of bullying going on in some of the schools around the country. When a student, if a student is being bullied, What should a teacher do? Help us out here, Dr. Corley.
First, the student should absolutely positively let us know, let somebody
Wow.
know what's going on. Now, they may not want to say anything, but they really need to. Our district has an app called See Something, Say Something, and you can say something anonymously if you'd like. It makes it harder for us to figure out what's happening,
Mm,
but the questions on the jot form lend themselves to us figuring it out.
okay, good.
What's the name of the person being bullied? And that person may be the person who's writing it and puts the name in, but lots of times it's not. It's someone
Uh,
else. It's a friend. Jonathan is being bullied. Who's
wow.
bullying Jonathan? George is bullying Jonathan. What did he do? Now, sometimes people say that a thing is bullying and it's just plain annoying.
Okay.
It needs to be classified bullying. And just so you know, we're not splitting a hair here. I mean, we're going to treat the problem.
Mm,
You're being annoying. He told you to stop. You kept doing it anyway. So you don't respect this child at all? What's
uh,
going on here? Because that's the way to fix that part of it. And then you tell the other child, now he knows that he was bothering you. You told him to stop, and you say it in front of both of them. If he doesn't stop now, he is being mean to you, and it's going to become bullying. So he
wow.
already knows what your feelings are like, and he's doing it anyway, or he has no self-control, and that means we can't have him around other students. And then you look back at the first guy, and he's like, no, 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 I'm cool, I got it, I got it. But it needs to be a difference, a big person to little person, or somebody with authority to someone who doesn't have agency. It needs to be repetitive a couple of times. So it's a low bar, truly, to be bullying, but they can fill out that form more times than not. They'll tell someone, or a child will witness it and go to a teacher or an assistant or one of us administrators and say, he was being mean to this other child on the playground and I didn't like it. And I told him no, and he didn't stop. Because
Oh,
most times our children are taught to stand up for the child who's the victim. That
oh,
doesn't mean get in
wonderful.
the
Wonderful.
fight. And there tend to be, I think, I'm going to jinx myself. I'll have to knock on wood. We have maybe one fight every 2 or 3 years.
Oh my goodness, that is
That's
incredible.
that's a fist fight kind of thing,
Yeah.
because you have a voice, you have words. We have
Mm,
plenty of students who do not speak English when they come here, about 45% of our population.
wow.
But one way or another, you can communicate no.
Sure. Sure.
That's pretty
Absolutely.
universal. And, putting your hands up, walking away, going to an adult who can use their words. If your words aren't working, go to a person whose words will work better. There are lots of ways that you can get out of this situation. And if your deal is, he was mean to me, so I hit him, really? Now,
Mm.
what did you think was going to happen when you hit? Did you think he'd go, oh, I see the error of my ways. I
Mm.
will stop messing with you. I will be on my way. I'm terribly sorry. Is that usually the way that works for you? Come on, man.
Oh,
I don't usually do it in a funny way like that, but I'll say, and how's this working for you now?
mm.
Or was it worth it?
Sure.
Because you physically hurt somebody because
Wow.
of something they said. Well, it was really
Mhm.
mean. I really
Mhm.
I really didn't like it, and I'm
Mhm.
sure he didn't like being hit either.
No,
So how do we
absolutely.
make this not happen again?
Mhm. Yeah. Now, you're a real firm believer a school has got to be a community. Now, does your school have some sort of big pot of homemade stew? And if so, how does this build community?
This started the first school that I was at, they would make Brunswick stew. And it
Oh,
was a community builder, and that was in Lynchburg, Virginia. And I believe that it had happened before I was there, but it wasn't a big community event, but it built community when the teachers did it. And it was a small scale sort of thing. So fast forward to Salem, Massachusetts, and there was they decided to make the Wednesday before Thanksgiving a half day of school.
Ah.
In the times before that, it was a full day of school. And there was a large Dominican population at that school. And there were lots of low-income students at that
Sure.
school. So they said, yes, we're going to release half day, but there won't be any lunch. I'm thinking, there won't be any lunch. Wait a minute.
Oh
You're
no.
thinking, I think, and by extension, that everybody's going to celebrate Thanksgiving and have this monstrous meal the next day. So it's not
Sure.
a big deal
Yeah.
if you don't give them lunch on Wednesday. So let's play this out. They don't get lunch on Wednesday. They may or may not get something at night.
Oh
And then
no.
Thursday is whatever it is, Friday is whatever it is, Saturday is
Oh,
whatever it is, and Sunday is whatever it is.
oh
The very
God.
least we could do is give them lunch on Wednesday. So it was salt and stall stew before it was red cedar stew. And that was, in my opinion, by necessity. Well, since I left that school, they have turned that into a festival.
Oh my goodness.
There are a number of outdoor activities, there are indoor activities, they make crafts, they do artwork, there are
Oh,
physical activities, and it's a big, hairy deal, which is
oh,
exactly what you should have. That was a new school that we started, and we needed to put traditions into place, and that is a wonderful one. Now here, red cedar stew is different because there are root vegetables that many of our students really like because they come from Honduras and central
oh,
Mexico
wow.
and Nicaragua.
Mm.
So, and they're things that I had never heard of. Malanga, plantain, I kind of knew, yeah, that's sort of a banana. Oh, no, not really. No, plantain is a completely other animal. So I took a Brunswick stew recipe and altered it to include those vegetables and
Oh,
some different kinds of spices. And it is really good. We could market it if we
mm.
could be consistent in how we make it, because we ask for different classes to bring different vegetables so that you get a somewhat of a balance of everything.
Oh, wow.
And so we know how much we need because our fifth graders every year refigure out this recipe that serves 10, how it will serve 700.
Oh my goodness.
And,
Oh,
and they figure it out, and that's great. But just between you and me and your listeners, it doesn't pay off because we get whatever vegetables we get whatever other things that we get. And if we need
oh,
to supplement, we do, but nobody's weighing these or measuring these. We're
sure.
eyeing it. And we have a couple of local chefs who are parents here. So they start the roux early in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And all of the teachers are required to bring in 2 stewed chickens
Oh my
and the broth.
goodness. Oh,
You should try to tell some Gen X, Y, Z teachers that they need to bring in stewed chicken. There was a
mm.
gentleman a couple years ago who brought in the Tyson's cut up in the bag.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my son, my son, my son. So we have a video that was made about 3 years ago with a very interesting little boy who had a number of behavior problems. I invited him with permission and some other students to come to my house to make cookies
Oh,
for
wow.
Thanksgiving. I mean, well, the Thanksgiving weekend because we're making
Mm.
Christmas cookies. So we also made a video about how you stew 2 chickens.
Oh, isn't
So
that
now we just
something?
give them the video.
Oh, Joyce. Sadly, we've only got 7 minutes, Dr. Corley. We could be talking for hours, but I want to shift gears a bit in our remaining time because National Teacher Day this Tuesday, May 7th, National Teacher Appreciation Week this week, May 6th through 10th. Now, sadly, there's been some research that shows interest in the teaching profession among high school seniors, college has fallen 50% since the 90s. And the number of new entrants has fallen by roughly 1/3 over the last decade. What do you think will incentivize the next generation to become educators? Help us out here, please.
You know how when somebody says maybe to a small child, strawberries are a good example, like a 4 or 5-year-old. Here, try this. No, I don't like that. Did you ever try it? No, but I know I don't like it.
Oh.
So they try the strawberry at some point in time or another, and then it's like, oh my gosh, that's really pretty good, especially when you put chocolate on it, or you put sugar on it, or you put it in your cereal. Yes, this is an okay thing. Where have strawberries been all my young life? It's sort of like tasting that first strawberry. Maybe every high school student should have a little bit of time in an elementary school class. I'm just saying because it's strawberries. I mean, high school classes may be more like celery, maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm biased. So if they were able to teach apart, if they taught crocheting, if they
wow.
origami, just, hey, Tony, could you come in? You make those paper cranes. Could you come in for 20 minutes and teach my 4th graders how to do that? There's a certain buzz you get when you have uncovered something for someone. They used to talk about covering the curriculum. No, basically you uncover the curriculum.
Wow.
You're almost like a magician because that's where the magic is. You're displaying the tray with all the goodies on it, or you're saying, did you know that if you were going to put fuel tanks on the space shuttle, they have a certain width that they can be because they need to fit through the mountain passes where the trains go. Now, the train rails are the same size the rails were in Rome many years ago.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Those are the same size as 2 oxen pulling a cart because they replaced ox cart trails. So if you think about it, our space shuttle gas tanks were based off of the width of 2 oxen. Now, you just learned something. I feel really good about myself because I shared something with you that you didn't know. It may be a useless piece of information. What my teachers teach is far more useful than what I just said. So if every high school junior or senior just spent a little time being able to share something, and many of them do. Many of them are, like, if they're higher up in the Scouts, Eagle Scouts and such, they share. That's part of what they do. And there are things that if you're a clarinet player in the high school band, you may teach private lessons to a 4th or 5th grader. That's great. Then the next thing, and I heard this recently and I totally agree, instead of jury duty, every person who has turned 21 should have substitute duty. Who can pass the background check? Because there are certain people that we couldn't have in the classrooms. But it would give you a realistic point of view. I mean, the gifts that teachers would get for Teacher Appreciation Week, oh my gosh, there could be jewelry in there.
Oh my
There
goodness
could be Bitcoin, there could be I don't know what, electronics. But we will settle for, and among the best things you can do, beyond children's notes of appreciation, beyond that, parent notes of appreciation, and buying them lunch a couple times a year. Seriously.
Oh, wonderful. Because I was just going to ask you, how can we show our appreciation on Tuesday, May 7 and this week for teachers and school faculty? It seems like buying lunch would be wonderful. Wow.
And the appreciative notes. The appreciative notes. But if people stop by their local, especially elementary school, middle school, some of those children lose their minds when they go to middle school. It comes back. It comes back gradually, and the teachers help and the parents help, and that's really great for the high school teachers, or we would have no high school teachers. But if they would stop by their local schools to say, can I have a tour? May I have a tour? Well, why do you want to be here? I just want to know what's going on. Because you hear gloom and doom from people who largely don't set foot in our schools. And if you don't know what we're doing, you can't talk about it. Like, don't give a Yelp rating for a restaurant you've never eaten at. Same
Amen to that. No question about it. Final question, most important we can ask you, where can our loyal listeners buy the magical place we call school?
All the usual suspects, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of those places. And predictably, there's a website, and even more predictably, it's called the magical place we call school.com.
You listeners, no excuse. This book is all over the place. This is a very special week coming up. We've had a great Franciscan with us this morning. She could have held on to the good. No, what did she do? She shares the good every day. She shared the greatness in this book. Now it's your turn. Buy a copy for yourself. This makes a great gift this week. Buy extra copies. Celebrate the magical place we call school. Spread it all over. Share the good. Dr. Kathleen Corley, we can't thank you enough for gracing us on the Thank God for Monday today. We've been enlightened. We've been inspired. We wish you and all your wonderful colleagues there a most great week. And certainly, especially Tuesday, May 7th. We appreciate all of you. Thanks be to God for all this amazing work you're doing. Keep up the great work, sir.
Thank you so much, Brother Greg. I really appreciate being here.
Lars. Listeners, guess what? Once again, we're out of time. Greg saying our hope and prayer is that when you wake up on Monday morning, just like Dr. Corley does, you'll say, thank God for Monday. Until next week's episode, have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.